Why is your hair falling out? This is a painful question many men and women quietly struggle with. People often notice clumps of hair on their pillow, feel anxious while brushing, or see more scalp in the mirror each month. Most are told the same thing, that it's irreversible, but that isn't the complete truth. Hair loss after 60 is not only about genetics. It often reflects deeper issues such as reduced circulation, hormonal imbalance, or ongoing inflammation, factors many don't realize can be improved. Studies published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society show that over 60% of men and nearly half of women above 65 experience visible hair thinning. What's more concerning is that many receive no real explanation and no clear plan, only the assumption that nothing can be done. Many patients feel devastated by hair thinning, often blaming themselves or spending years on products that were never designed to work. Hair thinning is one of the most common yet least respected signs of aging. It is frequently dismissed as vanity or blamed entirely on age or genetics. In reality, it is often the scalp's way of signaling that something deeper is out of balance. Poor blood circulation, chronic inflammation, or hormonal disruption beneath the surface can quietly weaken hair over time. When this happens, many older adults end up chasing the wrong solutions, hormone-altering pills or unnecessary procedures, without addressing the real cause. Hair thinning after 60 does not happen overnight. It is a gradual, cumulative process that usually begins years earlier, as circulation slows and fewer nutrients reach the hair roots. Over time, hair follicles enter a dormant state, not dead, but inactive. Without proper blood flow, oxygen, and balanced hormonal signals, hair cannot grow, no matter how many shampoos or supplements are used. This is why hair loss should not be seen as a cosmetic problem, but as a circulatory and hormonal signal reflected through the scalp. Most people are taught to treat hair loss as a surface problem, when in reality, it is the result of deeper processes within the body. Many patients say they are doing everything right, yet they have never been guided to consider blood circulation or ongoing hormonal stress. That frustration is very real. I have seen individuals overwhelmed with emotion, convinced they have somehow failed. But the issue is rarely effort. It is delivery. When nutrients are not being delivered to the follicles, growth simply cannot occur. After the age of 60, blood vessels in the scalp often begin to narrow, especially in those with poor sleep, high blood pressure, or inflammatory diets. Slowly, the follicles begin to retreat. This is why the change can feel sudden, even though it has been developing quietly for years. By the time hair visibly thins or sheds, the internal process has already been underway. That is what makes hair loss so confusing. The symptom is visible, but the cause remains hidden, and most people are never shown how to trace it back. When circulation and hormonal balance are addressed, the question becomes what the body actually needs to help reawaken those follicles. That process often begins with one of the most powerful and misunderstood oils in the world, used for centuries in traditional medicine and only recently reconsidered by modern research. Its value lies not only in what it does on the surface, but in how it communicates with the tissues beneath. It does not force growth. It supports the awakening of the tiny muscles, vessels, and receptors surrounding each follicle. When used correctly, it does more than nourish the scalp. It signals to the body that this area is still alive and worth supporting. Rosemary oil is remarkable, not for its aroma, but for how it improves the microcirculation of the scalp. Clinical studies show that rosemary oil can be as effective as minoxidil, the pharmaceutical standard for promoting hair growth over time. Unlike drugs, it works by restoring the natural intelligence of the follicle rather than forcing it. For most people, it's surprising to realize that rosemary, long used in traditional medicine, has been a tool to stimulate blood flow, even in stroke recovery. When applied to the scalp, rosemary oil dilates tiny capillaries, delivering oxygen and nutrients to dormant follicles. This first step is critical. Without circulation, nothing else can support hair growth. It's safe for daily use, though it should be diluted in a carrier oil like jojoba or sweet almond to prevent irritation. Even just 3 minutes of gentle nightly massage can gradually awaken the scalp. Over time, not only does hair start to return, but the scalp looks healthier, more elastic, and more alive. The benefits go beyond hair. Rosemary oil can relieve tension, reduce inflammation, and in many cases, improve sleep and reduce anxiety. Touch and scent alone are powerful medicines. For anyone wondering where to begin, rosemary oil is the first step, especially if the scalp feels cold, tight, or numb. It awakens circulation, signaling to the follicles that it's time to come back to life. But it is only one part of a complete scalp care ritual. Once the follicles are awakened by rosemary oil, the next step is to protect and nourish them with castor oil, which I often refer to as the anchor. While rosemary oil stimulates circulation and wakes the follicles up, castor oil provides stability, creating the conditions for growth to last, not just begin. Its richness comes from ricinoleic acid, a rare fatty acid with multiple benefits. It soothes inflammation, strengthens the scalp barrier, and helps prevent future hair loss. In other words, while rosemary wakes the hair, castor oil ensures it stays rooted. Many people are surprised to learn that castor oil is better known as a laxative when taken internally. However, applied topically, its effects are much gentler and profoundly restorative. It acts almost like a sealant for the scalp, calming irritation, improving blood retention in the capillaries, and slowing the release of prostaglandin D2, a compound scientifically linked to follicle shrinkage and found in high amounts on balding scalps. In this way, castor oil does more than moisturize. It actually addresses a chemical process that contributes to hair thinning. Modern research is beginning to confirm what traditional medicine has long observed. Studies from Japan show that regular topical application of castor oil not only reduces inflammation, but also improves collagen structure in aging skin. When the scalp becomes calmer, thicker, and more hydrated, the follicles have the foundation they need to stay anchored and grow stronger. This is particularly important for older adults whose scalps may have reduced elasticity, slower circulation, and more cumulative damage from environmental and hormonal factors over the years. Because castor oil is naturally dense and viscous, it requires careful application to achieve the best results. A small amount, warmed between the palms, should be gently pressed into the scalp, never rubbed aggressively. For those with finer hair, blending it with lighter carrier oils such as argan or jojoba makes it easier to spread evenly without feeling heavy or sticky. Applying it at night allows the oil to work while you sleep, and a gentle rinse with warm water and natural shampoo the next morning is sufficient to remove excess. Over time, consistent use transforms not only the scalp but the follicles themselves, providing long-term protection and creating an environment where hair can thrive. What makes castor oil particularly remarkable is how it works in tandem with rosemary oil. While rosemary revives circulation and awakens dormant follicles, castor oil acts as a shield, preserving the progress and reducing the risk of further miniaturization. Together, they form a two-step approach that addresses both activation and protection, giving the scalp the support it needs for sustained hair health. For older adults, this combination can be transformative, not just for hair growth, but for scalp resilience, tissue health, and overall confidence. It's not about saturating the scalp. It's about providing the roots with exactly what they need to stay strong and healthy. Rosemary oil brings life back to dormant follicles, reactivating circulation and stimulating the scalp at a microvascular level. But life without protection doesn't last. And that's where castor oil plays a critical role. Acting as an anchor, it shelters the follicles, slows damage, seals in nutrients, and reduces the likelihood of breakage or fallout. It's truly remarkable how a simple topical oil can create changes at the cellular level, strengthening the foundation so that hair has a chance to grow. Castor oil is simple, but it's far from superficial. It works in harmony with the body's own healing mechanisms rather than overriding them. With consistent application, results build gradually and steadily. In some patients, I have seen new hair sprout in areas that had been barren for years, not instantly, but slowly, month by month. This illustrates a critical point. Healing is a process, not a miracle. Many people give up too soon because they expect immediate results. Hair recovery, especially after 60, is about momentum, patience, and consistency. When rosemary and castor oil are used together, the scalp receives both circulation and protection, creating a nurturing environment for follicles to recover and thrive. The third essential oil addresses a deeper hormonal aspect of hair thinning. Pumpkin seed oil is particularly important for men and postmenopausal women because it gently blocks DHT, the hormone that tells hair follicles to shrink and stop growing. DHT is a major driver of hair thinning, particularly around the crown and temples, and after 60, follicles become more sensitive to its effects. Stress, inflammation, and age-related changes can increase DHT levels and follicle susceptibility. Pumpkin seed oil intervenes without interfering with the body's natural hormone rhythms, making it far safer than synthetic DHT blockers, which can carry risks to libido, mood, and liver function. Rich in phytosterols and zinc, pumpkin seed oil not only blocks harmful hormonal signals but also supports overall hormonal balance, which is often the missing link for many seniors experiencing hair loss. Applied topically, it reduces local inflammation and helps block DHT directly at the follicle. Taken internally, it works systemically to support long-term hormonal stability, giving follicles the time and environment they need to recover fully. When used together, these three oils create a comprehensive, layered approach. Rosemary oil awakens the dormant follicles by improving circulation. Castor oil anchors and protects them by soothing inflammation and strengthening the scalp barrier. And pumpkin seed oil interrupts the chemical messages that signal hair to shrink or die. This combination addresses both the visible and invisible factors of hair thinning, working on circulation, protection, and hormonal balance simultaneously. The power of this approach is in its subtlety. Each oil works with the body rather than against it, supporting natural processes instead of forcing artificial results. Over time, with patience and consistent use, the scalp begins to transform, blood flow improves, inflammation diminishes, follicles stabilize, and hair growth can gradually return. Even in cases where full regrowth doesn't occur, the scalp itself becomes healthier, more resilient, and better able to sustain the follicles it still has. This layered, natural approach demonstrates that hair loss after 60 is not necessarily permanent. Many follicles remain. They may be miniaturized, weakened, or dormant, but they can be reactivated and protected. The combination of rosemary, castor, and pumpkin seed oil gives the scalp circulation, stability, and hormonal balance, creating an environment where hair can thrive. It's a reminder that healing isn't instant, but with patience, care, and the right support, the follicles can remember how to grow again. Pumpkin seed oil works at the source, interrupting the chemical signals that tell hair follicles to shrink or die. By doing this, it buys the scalp time for circulation to improve, inflammation to calm, and for hair to grow again under healthier conditions. Its versatility is one of its strengths. It can be applied topically to thinning areas, where it blocks DHT locally and reduces inflammation, or taken internally as cold-pressed oil to support overall hormonal balance and long-term follicle health. In many cases, I recommend a combination of both methods, but always tailored to the individual's sensitivity, health status, and medical history. The benefits of pumpkin seed oil go beyond hair. It supports prostate health, improves bladder function, and helps regulate cholesterol. For seniors, especially postmenopausal women or men experiencing testosterone decline, it can make a noticeable difference in hair texture, density, and overall scalp vitality. Contrary to popular belief, follicles are not truly gone once hair is lost. Many are simply miniaturized, weakened, or dormant. When the hormonal signals telling them to retreat are interrupted, these follicles can slowly reawaken. This is the hope that shifts the mindset from "I'm broken" to "I'm rebuildable." Combining all three oils, rosemary to activate, castor to anchor, and pumpkin seed to protect, creates a complete, layered approach. Many people ask whether these oils can be blended into one formula or must be used separately. The answer is yes, they can be blended, but only carefully. Each oil has a unique density, absorption rate, and volatility, so balance is critical. A typical blend uses about 60% carrier oils, like jojoba or almond, as a base, with smaller amounts of rosemary, castor, and pumpkin seed oil added according to the scalp's specific needs. It's not just a matter of mixing oils and hoping for results. Too much castor oil can clog pores, too much rosemary can irritate, and excessive pumpkin seed oil may not absorb properly without the correct base. Older adults, in particular, need to be cautious because their skin may be thinner or more reactive. I always advise testing first. Apply a small amount behind the ear or on the inner arm. If there's no redness or itching after 24 hours, it is generally safe to proceed. Even then, start slowly, applying 2 to 3 times per week rather than daily. Not everyone benefits from the same ratio. Some may need more rosemary to stimulate growth, others more pumpkin seed oil to block hormonal triggers, and for very dry or inflamed scalps, castor oil becomes the key ingredient. The process is highly personalized. Listening to your scalp, understanding your history, and observing how your skin responds is what makes natural medicine effective. It really is about personal medicine, tailoring the approach to the individual. What works for one person might overwhelm another. By starting gently, monitoring the response, and adjusting as needed, the scalp is given the attention and care it requires to recover. This careful, methodical approach transforms hair care from guesswork into a reliable, results-oriented process. Natural medicine is only powerful when it's precise. What works for one person may overwhelm another, so the approach must be gentle, observant, and adaptable. We start slowly, watch how the scalp and follicles respond, and adjust as needed. This careful attention rebuilds trust between the body and the treatment, creating an environment where healing is possible. This approach also gives people a real sense of agency. They can follow a protocol safely without needing to get everything perfect from the start. For those unsure about ratios or techniques, guidance is always available. Even small adjustments, just a few drops applied thoughtfully, can make a significant difference. The key is understanding that this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a method that is both personalized and accessible. For anyone feeling overwhelmed by choices or information, it's reassuring to know that consistent, careful application is more effective than overcomplicating the process. Beyond oils, the biggest reason people don't see results, even when they do everything correctly, is time. Hair growth follows the body's natural cycles, not our expectations. If hair loss has been developing for a decade, visible regrowth won't appear in days or weeks. The oils provide support, but they work on the body's timeline, not our egos. Patience is critical. This represents a fundamental mindset shift. Healing isn't a transaction. It's a relationship. Like any relationship, it requires consistency, attention, and patience. I've seen patients ready to give up at week 4, only to notice regrowth by week 12. Without faith in the process, they would have missed it entirely. Frustration is natural, especially for those who have faced repeated disappointment. That fear of wasting time again can be paralyzing. But even if hair doesn't return fully, the scalp itself benefits. Circulation improves, inflammation decreases, and overall scalp health strengthens. You may not just look better, you'll feel better. Progress can manifest in different ways: stronger strands, fewer hairs falling out, or simply a healthier scalp. Consistent care sends a powerful message to the body. I haven't given up on you. This is especially important in later life, when many are told to expect decline or accept loss. Aging is not a shutdown. It's an invitation to reconnect. By listening to the body and responding with care, healing becomes possible, even in ways that may be slower or subtler than expected. Yes, aging is not decay. It's communication. Every signal from the body has meaning, and if you take the time to listen carefully, it will tell you exactly what it needs to heal. Hair loss, scalp tension, or thinning follicles are not just cosmetic issues. They are messages from your body, asking for attention, support, and care. By responding thoughtfully, you give your body the opportunity to rebuild, restore, and maintain its natural vitality. For all listeners, sharing your questions or experiences can help guide others and ensure that everyone can follow this approach safely and effectively. Remember, the body responds to consistent care, and even small, intentional steps can lead to meaningful improvement over time.